there. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridget. I'm your host, Bridgett Ellison, on this Tuesday, January 23rd, 7:30 on the dot. Thanks for joining us. Lots to get to this morning, including the weather. Meteorologist Candace Campos back in the house at the Pinpoint Weather Center. You sound really good this morning. Feeling better?
Oh my gosh,
I know.
so much better. Crystal Moyer did the story about the cold, the flu, the RSV, the combination of everything. My kids were battling the flu all last week. I
Yeah.
have my amazing parents who were there helping us out, so that way I wouldn't have to miss work and all that stuff. And before you
I
knew it,
know.
knocked me down.
Yeah.
But somehow, some way, I'm not even going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Some other family members
You know
are
what?
are
And
doing okay.
I'll add on to the pile. The pollen is expected to be in the high
Oh
category
yeah.
the rest of the week too. So add that into the combo of ailments and irritants.
Oh my gosh, I know. So it's just one of those things. It's that time of the year, and especially when you have these ups and downs of just temperatures. We go from the 30s to the
Hmm.
60s to the 70s, back down. Then there's rain. Then there's pollen. Then there's, the weather has not helped the flu and cold season. That is for sure. But
Don't
the
you
good
guys have
news
like a
is
weather story somewhere about that too?
we do. We do. I believe it was. I'm not sure if it was Samara.
Or
Maybe
Michelle?
Samara was one, or
Okay.
Michelle. Somebody. Maybe it was Michelle. Yes, last week. I'm telling you, I started
Because like,
going
the
down.
wives' tale is like the temperatures going up and down make you sick, but that's not actually how it works. But you
Correct.
have to look at
Yeah,
the
but it's
article.
just, being stuck inside sometimes, and it's just
So
tis
more
the
germs
season.
shared indoors this time of year.
Tis the season, everybody. But the good news is, if you're hoping to warm up a little bit after what was such a chilly, chilly weekend,
Hmm.
the good news is we're gonna get there, Bridget. So out the door information, what you need to know. It says Thursday. I meant Tuesday. You see, this is where my brain's at. I
We'll
got
give
the
you
right
grace.
day. I changed it January 23rd. I didn't change the actual day. It's going to be the warmest week since early December. The plants, your lawns, the grass, they will all need some watering, a little extra love this week, as not only is it going to be warm, it's also going to be relatively dry. Rain chances slim at only about 10 to 20%. And for those hoping for a cool down, you'll have to wait till possibly early next week. Temperatures right now out the door, we are running about 15 to almost 20 degrees warmer this morning, like especially in areas like Marion County, where you guys were in the low 40s yesterday. Today you're in the low 60s. So obvious here in this map that warming trend has certainly begun. We got a big ridge of high pressure that's going to be moving out into the Atlantic over the next few hours. We still have a lot of just cloud cover that will continue to stream in across central Florida. So with that being said, mostly cloudy skies still will be the name of the game. Now, we do have a couple of those scattered showers out there along our coastline that could kind of clip parts of the coastline this morning and into the afternoon. So I'm going to hold those rain chances to about 20% along our coast, less the further inland you go. So don't be surprised if you get caught under an isolated sprinkle. But then come Wednesday, we're expecting a lot more sunshine and possibly even a little drier weather for coastal communities on Wednesday. So as we take you here throughout the next few hours, highs will be right where they technically should be for this time of the year. We're about 72, 73 is our average high, and that's kind of where we'll be hovering this afternoon. And then later on tonight, it's going to be just another mild, cloudy night. Temperatures will be in the mid 60s. And then technically today will be the coolest day for at least next few, as we will be back into the mid 80s. We could warm up another 10 degrees between now and Saturday. So as
Wow.
early as Thursday, we could be flirting with records, getting a little closer to those record numbers come Friday and Saturday. Next front comes in, a dry cold front on Sunday, which will drop those temperatures down back into the 60s potentially. So certainly a warming trend. I know a lot of people
Mhm.
here in Central Florida like the warmer weather. That's why they moved here.
Yeah,
So there
little
it is. For those
vacation
who've been
here.
wanting those
Mhm.
80s, you got them right there.
Well, looking good. Good to have you back.
Yeah.
Thank you, Candace.
Good to be back. Thanks, Bridget.
All right, let's get a check of the traffic. Yesterday was a bit of a crazy morning, and today things seem to be going fairly well, but a lot can change in just the span of a few minutes. And Trooper Steve is out in results one this morning, getting ready to roll out. Today it's an AC day as this air gets hot again.
Oh yeah, I do not have the seat warmers on today, but it is so comfortable though. It's like
Hmm.
you come out of the house so many times over the past couple of weeks, you got to throw a jacket. Where's the sweater? This. Today's just a nice day. I walked out here to the back parking lot, getting the truck ready, and I was like, okay, I could do this. 60
Yeah.
something, what my truck's saying 63 degrees outside. It's not too bad.
And how's the traffic looking? Because I know yesterday was really crazy. Of course, now we know that was a road rage thing, but Colonial around Lake
Yeah,
Baldwin
that was
and
crazy.
the Orlando Executive Airport, all that was tied up for a long time yesterday.
Yeah, we're not dealing with too much this morning. Most of the minor stuff, not slowing us down too much. So we had two crashes right here on dot cam within about the same time of each other. What you're looking at is westbound I-4 at 434. So midsections of Seminole County right there as you're approaching the entrance to the express lanes, the rest area kind of thing. Give people a general reference. See two troopers off with three cars on the left shoulder. It's funny. I called that trooper out on air because I know that trooper, Trooper Sir Francis, and I wanted to give him a shout out there. Good guy. You can actually see him walking right there by the BMW. Looking pretty good. What I want to give a shout out though is to all the drivers who are cleared that left lane. That, ladies and gentlemen, is impressive. Maybe not so much with that black car coming there in the left lane, but you are required to
Mm.
move over or slow down 20 miles underneath the posted speed limit when passing law enforcement or even us with our hazard lights. So you can see there, dot cam, not too bad. Getting the system running here, and we'll move on to the map. 1 second. All right. So as you're traveling there, no delay really registered on the map as you approach there. Just take it nice and easy so you don't have any secondary issues. 30 minutes Kissimmee to downtown, 26 if you're coming from Lake Mary. And then this crash looks like it's on 408. It is not. Off to the side there, off of Bamboo Drive and Zinnia Drive. Westbound lanes of 408. Brief slowdown. Actually, a quick heavy one there at Goldenrod. But then the rest of the routine stuff as you head westbound. They just cleared out a crash off of Goldenrod and Pershing. Downtown, not too bad. Claremont, you're seeing those eastbound delays along West State Road 50 as you approach that county line of Orange into Oakland. You guys are used to this, but please increase that following distance so we don't have any crashes out there. Drive times across Central Florida, good. 417 Turnpike, not too bad. Brevard County, you guys have been behaving today, along with Volusia and Flagler. So, Bridgett, right now, things nice and clear. I didn't even realize I was on camera with you. I was there itching my
You just
ear, all
popped up.
comfortable here, just rattling off for a second.
No,
Things
you
look
just
real
popped up.
nice. Yeah, things look good. Hey, it's coffee talk. It's all good. We can mess around a little
Hmm.
bit.
Hmm.
Um, things
Did
look
you get a
good.
donut? You
So
should come in here and get a donut before you roll.
I almost sense anytime producer Donovan brings those
Just like,
donuts into the
right,
building. So I
right.
already got one.
Okay. Okay.
I was wiping the chocolate off before we
Yes.
started here a
We
second ago.
appreciate Donovan
Uh,
here
oh
helping
yeah,
out
Donathan
while
on the
Kathy's out of
controls
town.
this
Yes.
morning.
And Jackie's here. She's at the controls and Donovan's like back up today. So,
Gotcha. So Jackie's learning the ropes on the Breakfast with Bridget.
yep.
Real quick before I let you go, I know you have an awesome interview coming up with Dr. Clark.
Yeah.
Um, We surprise if you are. I know they're not a partner of ours, but they do great things. XL 106.7. I will be joining Johnny's house this morning at 9:30 with the radio team to talk about the Carrie Ann DeMont dinner taking
Oh,
place on
great.
Friday. We're going to have a QR code for a discount for anybody listening for today. So please tune in if you want to attend. And then before that, of course, we're going to be talking aggressive driving and street racing here in Central Florida.
All right. Well, we'll see you then. And where can you get that QR code?
We're going to announce it once
Okay.
you have to list it. You have to, so it's not a QR code. So it's a code
Oh, okay.
that, yeah, my bad. I misspoke because
Oh,
obviously you can't see a QR code
I
on the
know. I was
radio.
like,
Uh,
okay.
so we're going to give you a secret code and then you can hop on the
Okay.
website and purchase those tickets with a discount and
Awesome.
stuff today.
Awesome. Awesome foundation. All right. Thank you, Steve.
Bye.
Bye. All right. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with Dr. Jim Clark here to talk about all the political news that's happening lately. There's never a shortage of political headlines, so we'll see him in just about a minute. Welcome back to Breakfast with Bridgett. We have Dr. Jim Clark with us, our News 6 political expert and UCF professor. Thanks for waking up with us, Dr. Clark.
It's my pleasure.
I know you messaged me that you had noticed that Breakfast with Bridgett was a new segment, and I told you that I couldn't wait to have you on. So, I mean, there's just never a shortage of things for us to talk about.
That's true. Although I am angry that did you see the donut that Steve took?
No.
It must have weighed 2 pounds. It had everything on it.
Oh wow. I just had a plain like glazed donut, but I prefer French cruller, but I will take what I can get. I'm not super choosy. What about you?
Yeah, I'm that way too.
Yeah. Well, we are watching for, what will happen, how New Hampshire will wrap up tonight. But I mean, there's just been so much speculation ever since, this weekend when Governor DeSantis pulled out or suspended rather from his run for the White House. What else have you learned since the weekend?
Well, I think what we've learned is that uh, Donald Trump has made it pretty clear that if he wins in November, that Ron DeSantis will not be a cabinet member in his administration. Um, and although President Trump has gone out of his way to say nice things in the last 48 hours about Governor DeSantis, again, yesterday he praised him and thanked him. So it's going to be interesting to see what path now the governor takes.
I feel like it's hard to read exactly, the endorsement versus, have they fully called a truce between one another.
Yeah, the President Trump announced shortly after Governor DeSantis withdrew over the weekend that he was no longer going to use the name Ron DeSanctimonious. He
Oh,
said that name had been retired. So I guess the mudslinging will stop. But remember, President Trump spent over $20 million on advertising aimed at attacking Ron DeSantis. So the damage has pretty much been done.
and you talked about this terminology of DeSantis calling a suspension versus totally quitting or, pulling out completely. What do those terms specify when it comes to a campaign?
Yeah, it's a financial term. Whenever you hear a candidate say he is suspending his or her campaign, it means they can continue to collect money. They can continue to raise money, maybe to pay bills or maybe even for a future
Mhm.
campaign or to help other candidates.
Mhm.
If you withdraw from the race, if you quit, that means you cannot raise any more money under federal election laws. So I think the governor would like to keep raising money for future use. It's hard to tell.
Mhm.
He may have as much as $5 million left. But campaigns are funny
Yeah.
because the bills will start coming in now, and there's probably still bills from Iowa. So it's hard to tell. But the governor would clearly like to keep raising money. He needs to keep his profile at a high level.
And when we look at Nikki Haley, she came in, third with the caucuses in Iowa, but she, is still hanging in there. So how do you analyze that in comparison to what the governor decided to do with his campaign?
Yeah, I think Nikki Haley thought that she was going to do better today in New Hampshire. We'll see if that's true. Governor DeSantis was polling extremely weak in New Hampshire, maybe even single digits. So if he had stayed in the race, he would have been embarrassed today. He had hoped to stay on through South Carolina, but I think he went there after Iowa, and he went there again over the weekend. And I think he figured out this is a very bright guy. Figured out that there just was not a path for him. He had used all of his resources in Iowa and pulled out of other states, and so there just wasn't a way for him to kind of reset his campaign again.
And so it looks like, he'll focus on, of course, state business as well. Do you see him making any major changes now that he can focus more in on just Florida right now?
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting thing. As you know, Bridget, his campaign was hit by lots of criticism that he was too wooden, that he did not deal with mainstream media, that he seemed to be too aloof. And it's going to be interesting over the next few months to see if he adjusts to this criticism or whether he simply doubles down and continues as he had been for the past 5 years.
And so, I mean, the legislative session is still going. Do you see more things happening, out of Tallahassee with this
Yeah.
shift?
I think that he found that the anti-woke agenda, the attacks on Disney, all the drag queen things, did not work nationally. That even COVID, that the nation had moved on from COVID, and when he and his Surgeon General spoke, say in New Hampshire, people just kind of yawn. They're over the COVID situation.
And when you look at, Nikki Haley, she's probably in some of these polls is as many as 20 points off from Trump as we near the end of the New Hampshire primary. So what would that look like for her after tonight?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question. What you'll be talking about tomorrow morning. If she does not do uh, well, and well, it doesn't even mean winning. Well means, coming within, say, 10 points. I think this will be it for her. Surely she does not want to stay on into next month and be embarrassed in her home state, which is a real possibility of being beaten by 30 points or so in South Carolina. So
Right, that's going
I
to be
would
on
expect,
February 3rd or
yeah, that's
February, yeah.
coming. Is it
Hmm.
February 3rd?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm losing track of time here.
Or no,
These
February 24th.
primaries,
I'm sorry. The
yeah,
Democrats
February
are in South
24th.
Carolina February 3rd,
Yeah.
Republicans
Uh,
February 24th. Yeah.
yeah, we North Carolinians can't keep track of South Carolina.
I
The
was born in South Carolina, but I went to school in North Carolina,
I
so
know,
it's a lot to keep up with. But yeah, so you're saying that this could be a tough moment next month for her in South Carolina,
yeah, and
even
so
even worse than today.
I would expect that after tonight, she and her brain trust will meet, and that if she does not come within, say, 10 points, she'll call it a day. And Donald Trump will become the a nominee of the Republican Party after just a couple of primaries. And a year ago, it is amazing to look at this, Bridget.
Hmm.
A year ago, uh, Governor DeSantis was close to, or in
Right.
some cases, passing Donald Trump in the polls. He had far more money than Donald Trump. The future looked bright. The New York Post headline called him Ron the Future,
Hmm.
meaning he was the future of the Republican Party. And here we are a year later. He's out. Nikki Haley is on the ropes, and Donald Trump may be the nominee after tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's very hard to predict when you look back that far. Many people were betting on him, coming out ahead, and now here we are. What would you say were the main things that contributed to that big shift?
I think there was a lot of division within his campaign. He had hired lots of people with no experience in a national election. And I think coming off his tremendous reelection victory last year, um, 2 years ago now, that there was some overconfidence that they knew how to run campaigns, and I just don't think they were prepared. There was also lots of infighting, and I think in the coming weeks we'll be reading more about kind of what went wrong with the DeSantis campaign. He also had a tough time connecting with voters. Um, and I think even he admitted just last week that he should have handled media differently. As you know, he has basically shut out mainstream media throughout his term. and only dealt with Fox and conservative media. And I think that hurt him. I
Hmm.
think that cost him exposure and getting to know the voters.
And when we look at, getting through this next election, but then, projecting forward, many times you see people who were vying for the White House show up in different positions in Washington. So, do you see that happening with Governor DeSantis, with Nikki Haley, or with some of the others who have since pulled out?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. As I said, Governor DeSantis had said at one point he didn't want to be vice president, and I don't see that happening. Uh, there is a strange thing in our Constitution that discourages two people from the same state from running as a ticket,
Hmm.
president and vice president. Um, and it has to
Is
do
that a
with the
very old?
electoral college.
Okay, okay.
And so I don't see him as a vice presidential candidate. And Trump threw cold water on the idea of him joining the cabinet. But remember, during Trump's administration, people like Ben Carson, who had run for the nomination,
Right.
were included in his administration. So I think anything can happen. Remember, the governor's a lame duck. He cannot run for governor again. There doesn't seem to be a path for him here in Florida. He for statewide office, he would have to run against Marco Rubio, a Republican who's very popular. And so it's going to be interesting to see which path he takes after he leaves office in just 3 years.
And so is there a a time stamp that would need to pass before he could make a run for Washington again?
Um, I think that again, he's probably talking already to his advisors. As I mentioned, he has a bunch of money in the bank, and so I think he's going to work to keep his profile very high. He's already talking about 2028, but it is extremely difficult for people to come back. Hillary Clinton, of course, did it. She lost to Obama, and then 8 years later came back and got the nomination. But generally speaking, uh, candidates get really one good crack at the White House.
Hmm.
And we saw with people like Scott Walker, who was hot, the governor of Wisconsin, Howard Dean, the Democrat, who was the leader here in Florida. Remember, in 2016, Jeb Bush was atop the polls and had money and seemed headed for the nomination. And then Donald Trump crushed him. So,
Hmm.
um, it's kind of one and done when you run for the presidency.
And you talked about how many Florida governors have run for the White House, and so we're
Yeah.
yet to break that threshold of getting getting in there.
Yeah. Maybe I should save this for Halloween. I think there's a curse on Florida. Florida has never elected a president, and we are the largest state to never have a president.
Hmm.
Vermont has two, we have zero. And we've had five governors now run for president, and not one has made it to the convention. Governor DeSantis actually did the best. He got 9 delegates. The other four did not get a single delegate.
Hmm.
And it's going to be interesting with President Trump as the Republican nominee. Um, I think the curse hit him in 2020. Remember, as a New Yorker, he won the presidency, and then he moved to Florida and lost the presidency. So I think there's something out there, kind of a curse on people from Florida who run for president.
And before we go, again, looking at February and what will happen in South Carolina for the Democrats and Republicans, what else can you say about, you know, if anything that would come out of those, those processes there in South Carolina?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a one person race by then. Tim Scott, the senator from South Carolina, already withdrew and already endorsed Donald Trump. And so it would be a two-person race. Nikki Haley in her home state is only polling in the 20s. So that's why I think if she does not do decently tonight, she'll be gone by the South Carolina primary.
All right. Anything else we should watch out for right now?
That's it.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Dr. Clark. Great information, and we appreciate you being with us this morning. And we'll see
Thank
you
you
again
for having
soon.
me.
All right.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Thank you.
Well, that does it for our time this morning on Breakfast with Bridgett. Thank you for being with us. We'll be back tomorrow at 7:30. Have a great day.